You guys just you keep coming around. I just keep hearing about you guys.
And I might need to tell Ryan to cut that up a little bit and just put it in my audio for my phone.
First of all, I love the game. I had a passion to play the game, not only football, but I love the game of golf. And what it lends to a person and the friendships you develop on the golf course.
It's been a pleasure being on the drop. I wish you guys all the best down the road.
As someone like you have that golf itch like a lot of us do.
I keep track of you, and you are moving. You are on the move.
So listen, I'm a big New Jersey golf guy. You're very kind, Mike, and you too, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be on just a couple of Jersey boys here talking about something we love. All the best. I really enjoyed it.
What's up, Drop Pod people? This is Ryan, giving you a quick introduction to our interview today. Today's interview is Rich Kennedy, who's the Director of Handicapping and Member Services for New Jersey Golf. New Jersey Golf is the rebranded version of the NJSGA, New Jersey State Golf Association. Rich joins Mike and I and talks to us for nearly an hour about all things handicapping and indexes and what's going on with the GIN app, and really does a good in-depth look at what an index is, and frankly taught me a ton. Was really informative, educational. Really did a great job of kind of encompassing it, and hopefully you guys will be a little educated too while we're out there. So without further ado, going to send it to our interview with Rich. Hope you enjoy.
This episode is sponsored by Gimme Cocktails. Hey golfers, just because golf season is over in New Jersey doesn't mean you can't enjoy a taste of the course. Meet Gimme Cocktails, your favorite drink for any season. Gimme Cocktails is a family-owned business proudly based right here in Monmouth County, New Jersey. They've perfected the blend of premium vodka with either pineapple or lemonade iced tea, enhanced with a touch of effervescence. It's all natural, 7% alcohol, gluten-free, and the ultimate refresher whether you're winding down after a long day or gearing up for your next adventure. Find Gimme Cocktails at any Total Wine location, ShopRite in Middletown, Circus Liquors in Red Bank, and Huddy's in Colts Neck. Whether you're celebrating a win, unwinding after a busy day, or dreaming of next year's tee times, Gimme Cocktails is the perfect drink companion. And don't forget, drink local. When you sip Gimme Cocktails, you're supporting a New Jersey-owned company dedicated to quality and community. Follow them on Instagram at gimme_cocktails or visit gimmecocktails.com to learn more. Cheers to drinking local. Gimme Cocktails. Pick it up. Joining us today is Rich Kennedy, Director of Handicapping and Member Services for New Jersey Golf, a key voice behind the systems that keep the game fair, fun, and connected. Rich, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Rich, thanks for jumping on. I know we got you a little bit earlier than we wanted to, but this is gonna be good. You know, we're coming. This is gonna come out. Posting season starts April 1st, so we're this is the perfect time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot to get into with the word handicapping, because I think a lot of us hear it, we know about it, but we don't know the intricacies really about how it works. And I think before we dive into that, why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background about you, how you got into the game of golf, how you kind of led to where you are today, and then we can dive deep into the hot topic.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Ryan. Again, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate what you guys do with this podcast. You're always shining a light on New Jersey golf and the community, the people in New Jersey golf, and there's a lot of strength on both sides. So appreciate it. Happy to be here. Yeah, my path is kind of interesting. I grew up. I was playing all kinds of sports, not playing golf. But we always, my grandparents were big golfers, so we always heard stories, and we always would have like a family golf outing. Fast forward, I turned 14, and my father said, "You're caddying, Rich." He drove me up to Glenridge Country Club, dropped me off, and I spent a week in the caddy yard just waiting, waiting for a loop.
A week straight.
And it was, so my first loop, again, it was about a week. It was Ladies' Day at Glen Ridge. It was a shotgun. Everybody in the caddy yard got out. And I thought, hey, this is just another day. I'm not getting a loop. And I was walking into the parking lot, and then one of the older caddies came running out like, hey, dude, where you going? You got a loop. So I carried putters for 3 ladies. And from there, Bill Mosel was the caddy master. If you're a New Jersey golf community, everybody knows Billy Mosel. He was the best, and he totally recognized, that my commitment, I paid my dues. And from there, I was getting loops just about every day. I was going out early with a group of members every morning. That, again, the early tee time, they like to play fast. So I was this 14-year-old kid. I would race around with them. I'd find their ball and keep moving, and they loved me for it. And so I was a good caddy, but the Mondays, caddy days, when I started playing and started really getting hooked on golf to a certain point. I'll say this: pretty good basketball player, pretty good baseball player, obsessed with both of those sports, never got obsessed with golf at a young age. And I'm going to tell you why real quick. I was playing on Monday. I was playing great. We were playing a skins game with all the older caddies. And if you've been in the caddy yard, the older caddies at Glen Ridge, these guys are, I don't want to call them hustlers, but they know what they're doing when it comes to gambling. and I wasn't getting any shots or anything, but I was on fire. I was birdieing holes, and it was like a 6-some. So I'm collecting money from all these guys. I ended up, at the end of the day, I think I made like $60, right? But I was so excited about how well I was playing, the fact that I made some money, and I just kept playing. And, Mondays, when you catch the right Monday as a caddy, you can just keep playing. They give you the course for the whole day. So I was on like my 5th 9, and I started shanking, and I didn't know why. And I was this, 15-year-old kid. I didn't know what to make of it. And I was like, you know what? I like dominating sports. I like control. This is way out of control for me. So I kind of put golf on the back burner. I'm like, there's a reason why I'm playing basketball and baseball in high school, and I ended up playing college baseball. But the game is great. A caddy, again, the money was for a high school kid, that cash and just being out on the course. I had in Glen Ridge, you had Glen Ridge Country Club. Then if you wanted to play outside of Glen Ridge, you have the county courses. So this is, let's go back to the early 90s. County courses were nothing like they are now. They were in really not great shape. And from going from caddying at Glen Ridge, playing Mondays, and if you've ever played there, the greens are fantastic. It's a great property. It's always in good shape. And then going to Hendricks and Byrne back in those days, it was like you saw these courses in a property, like they're like beautiful, but they're, it's just horrible conditions. So it sort of made you really appreciate what was happening at Glen Ridge, which is another aspect of the game that like you kind of get into, right? When you see like these perfectly mowed greens and the way the ball moves on the greens and the fairways, the way they're cut, and you start thinking about that part of the business too. So that's kind of like created a lot of intrigue. Fast forward to finishing up at Rutgers. So I played college baseball at Rutgers, graduated there in 1998. And, my senior year, we finished up strong. We won the Big East tournament. We lost in the region down in Florida State. And that was kind of it from baseball for me. I didn't get drafted or anything. And, I had to finish up school. So I started caddying again at Essex County Country Club. And that was great. Totally different golf course, totally different, loop as far as, it's hillier, but it was a really neat experience. And I didn't really even get the history of the course back then. I didn't realize it, I'm 22 years old. I didn't realize this was a founding club in New Jersey golf, anything like that. But I was, I grew to be obsessed with that golf course. I didn't realize I was caddying on the best back 9 in the state of New Jersey back then, but looking back, I know that now. I had a really good opportunity from there. And that's what's great about caddying, especially at a young age, is the people you can meet, right? The professionals and that interaction you have on a course. And it's a different kind of interaction than in a job interview or anything like that, where there's like some pressure to, the people out there to have a good time. You're out there to help them have a good time. So that's appreciated. So I created some relationships, some really good relationships caddying. I got offered an internship with a company called Oppenheimer Funds in the city, working for a member, and that turned into a little bit of a part-time job. So I got that kind of really nice look at what that life would be. I think, unfortunately, I got a little bit too much of a taste of the golf life and like being outside and working outside and meeting people and making money. So that didn't work out, but within about a month, I was able to transition into working for New Jersey Golf. So this is year 2000, and it was great. I mean, I got, when you're an intern, especially back then, it was just one intern at New Jersey Golf. I think 4 or 5 full-time employees. I mean, I was involved in everything. I was involved in all the championships. I was helping the handicap and membership director at that time. There's all kinds of handicapping and gin related type stuff that I was assisting with. Caddy scholarship. I was helping Bunny O'Neill with projects with the Caddy Foundation. So that was exciting to me, because when you work for a small shop, you got to wear a lot of different hats, and that was something I gravitated more to than being, within a huge company like Oppenheimer Funds. I just felt like I had more to offer, because I felt like I was versatile in that way. So I got lucky a year later. So I interned in 2000. And the best job interview I ever had was Steve Fail. We were leaving Essex County Country Club, and the gentleman in my position had left for a head pro job at Westlake when Westlake Golf and Country Club just opened up. And Steve said, "Hey, Richie, Billy's leaving for that job over at Westlake, and we got an opening." I said, yeah. And he's like, are you interested in taking his position? I said, absolutely. He says, good, you're hired.
Have you done an interview since? Have you gone on an interview since?
It has not gone that well.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Listen, the game of golf has changed so much, right? From 2000 to 2025. I mean, what an up and down roller coaster this has been. And it was a Tiger era back then. Everybody wanted their courses to be really long, really, really hard. And, golf was pretty good. But then, even before the recession, you kind of felt like the game had kind of plateaued a little bit. Not a lot of growth. And then obviously the 2007, 2008 recession changed everything. And then COVID changed everything again. So pretty wild.
You've seen it grow from quite, going from the 90s, when you started that internship in the late 90s there, to where it is now. How much has New Jersey golf grown as far, like, is it exponentially? Is it twice as big? It seems like it's gone from like you said, like you have the munis being a vast difference to now, Burn could be its own country club. Like it's kept nicely right. Like that, and especially after the redo. So that growth, that explosion, just seems to have, like you said, it goes up, then it kind of plateaued, it goes up again, it maybe comes down a little bit and then explodes up. Like what's the overall growth been like over that time?
I can give you, so back then, I mean, I can give you even some numbers. I mean, so the GIN roster, active golfers with New Jersey Golf Association, it was New Jersey Golf Association back then, we're New Jersey Golf now.
Congrats on the rebranding, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. That was for Rebecca Corzo. She make sure I get that out there. So 2000, we're about 51,000 active golfers using GIN. Now we have other clubs. MGA kind of overlaps into New Jersey, as does the Golf Association of Philadelphia. So those clubs we don't manage their GIN rosters, but they're members. But let's just talk gin right now. We finally got back to that. We're about a couple thousand. We're around 53,000 now. And we were as low as 38,000 in 2008, 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a total drop. It was about 46,000, 47,000 active handicaps pre-recession, and then it just dropped almost 10,000 golfers right there. So we need more public golf now, which is crazy to say. I mean, New Jersey, we have the public golf courses, and I don't know if you guys have looked at the National Golf Foundation numbers, but we are the number one by far for golfers, public golfers for public golf courses. That ratio, like we are like, it's not even close. We got a lot of golfers, a lot of passionate golfers. We could use some more public, and we're actually losing some public courses to going private because, the market's there right now. It's because most of the private clubs are full. It wasn't the case back then. So definitely, we've grown, but that Tiger era, the game was pretty high. I mean, there was some good, as far as New Jersey golf membership, and we were in good shape. Now the culture changed so much. And that's like our reach changed so much post 2007, 2008. We were very hyper focused. My first 7 years, it was championships and the Caddy Foundation were the biggest things we were known for. And, we were providing member services to clubs, we were providing handicaps, but we weren't providing, and we had the magazine, which was a nice offering to go on. There wasn't really the opportunities for the everyday golfer back then, as there are now. That's way my position has changed dramatically. Is really, and it was fun actually post 2000. I mean, it stunk because we were in a recession. The economy was slow and the game was struggling, but it was really fun. I think for me, and I think if there was PGA professionals, I think they would agree too. Like trying to figure out ways to be creative and more open, available to the everyday golfers, and that running a member golf day in 2005. If I went to Rumson or a private club and said, hey, I want to host an event for just everyday New Jersey golf members, and I want it to be for $120, they would have laughed at me. And if I would have brought it up at a committee meeting, they would have said, I don't think there's any clubs aren't really going to be into it. But then fast forward to 2009, 2010, when we were talking about it, and then we implemented the golf days in 2010. I went probably 6, 7, 8 years without getting a no, because it was such a great prospect for clubs. So it was revenue, it was outreach, it was potential, membership outreach, and also they recognized the importance from our standpoint to deliver on these services, to provide these opportunities to everyday golfers for the growth of the game, for what we're supposed to be doing as New Jersey Golf to support and grow the game. So all those things kind of combined very nicely post recession. And listen, I think a lot of the success, obviously COVID, plays a huge role. No one's going to argue that. But I think what the PGA did, what USGA did in partnership with AGAs, being creative, really reaching out to the everyday golfers, trying to figure out ways to enhance their experience, create opportunities, all those kinds of things. From the PGA standpoint, the teaching, like the techniques and the things they've done, Operation 36 is one. I mean, things evolved quickly, and it's at the right time, right? Because now you got people want to play, but now they have all this access to learning the game the right way, and then access to getting opportunities that really kind of keep them excited about the game. So
I'm blown away that it was that. The game seems to have gotten bigger over the years. So to be at the same number of handicaps that there was in 2000, 51,000. Like that's kind of crazy to me, because that doesn't equate in my mind. Like we talk about like the COVID boom, how there's so many more golfers.
Right.
It to me, it would seem like that means that there's got to be a lot more people playing golf that just haven't signed up for a handicap, right?
That's exactly right. Again, I think it's increased, but the handicaps, it's a different kind of thing. I mean, like, and what we're trying to, for golfers, right? Because we're all kind of on this on a journey, and when that point comes to get in the handicap, usually you find your way to it, right? Because now you find yourself in a you get an invitation to a member guest, or you find yourself really playing better. All of a sudden, you want to compete, or you have friends that friend that did it, and you're playing more golf, and he's not going to play you for money anymore until you get a handicap.
Yeah.
So. It takes time as you're starting a game, it takes time for golfers to kind of get to that competitive point where they feel comfortable. But also going back, I think, Mike, you were talking about the word handicapping, and it doesn't have, nobody wants to be handicapped, right? Like you're not, like, it doesn't have that like thing, the word itself doesn't grab you. It seems like, and I said, over the years, people thank me. Well, wow, you're doing like God's work. You're the director, because they think I'm working with Handicap, and I'm not. But you're welcome. I'm just trying to do my part to create equity in the game, so you two can play golf, and it's a fair match. But that's like really unique about golf. It's that we have like the journey aspect, right? Like getting, everybody can kind of go at their own pace, go their own path. There's not like one set like way to get into the game. But finding our way to the handicap is still a challenge to get more people to sign up and buy into that. The Gin mobile app is great. It's not just about calculating the handicap index. You got all kinds of cool stats. You can set up matches now. There's going to be some new features coming where you can play these like virtual games with friends through the mobile app. So there's other aspects to it, and that's what with kids especially, like Ryan. I know you and I have gone back and forth with reaching out to high school golfers. I'm trying to get them initially to not think about the handicap index. That's going to be there, and that's going to help you, right? But like gravitate to the stats, that are in there. Like work with those fairways, and obviously the GPS that goes on to that. Like there's some cool little services in addition to the handicap.
There really is, and I'm sure Mike's going to want to dive deeper into that. But that's definitely a good thing to kind of get the high school kids involved early, so you can get them hooked. And I think you said it there as well. Like the word handicap can have a negative connotation. Same thing with like the rules of golf, right? Like you're implementing things. The rules are meant to punish errant shots for sure, but they're also meant to help you, right? Use the club length, right? Use which club? Well, obviously use the driver because it's the longest. You get the most relief. Like there's certain things to try to help you along there. And I think the handicap system is meant for that as well. But the word handicap does have that negative connotation to it. And I think maybe if it's just, hey, we got to use the word index more, and that might change some things too. But that's a great way to kind of, again, what you're doing with kids, changing the wording. I think all those are great things.
I think I think the way I think about the app specifically, it's just versatile in a lot of ways. I think one of the things that I don't think the youth and a high school kid truly grasp is all the abilities that the app actually has, because I think a lot of kids that want to be good or want to be competitive look at the one word and one number, and that's the index. That's it. But the idea for someone like you're trying to educate the masses, not just that high level kid that already has the index. And there's always crazy thoughts that go on in my mind. Ryan can attest this, but like, I do think like a New Jersey golf day where there is like some sort of seminar to where you guys kind of educate everybody, like high school kids. Like this is a time of the year when we're all itching to get out. April 1st, the first day you can start posting. There's a lot of like questions and interest and at times potentially confusion as to like, well, what is that? Like, how do I get one? Is it that hard? Is it expensive? And I think ways to just find ways to educate the masses, not just the high level kids that already have it. I think that's where that number that maybe like Ryan was talking about stagnant could really kind of explode even more.
Mike, you're 100% correct.
Ryan, you hear that? Ryan.
I did. Occasionally, even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
It can be confusing and hard to understand it. And, whether or not you want to handicap. I mean, the high school kid, again, that can play doesn't really want to he's not thinking about net events, not thinking of he just wants to go low every time, wants to go low as possible. Why do I need it? But it's helpful, kid. You're going to if you're going low regularly, you want to start playing and stuff outside of your high school team. Like there's opportunities there for you with that handicap. Coaches are now kind of looking at college coaches. Will look at it. It's not I don't know if it's a huge piece of the equation when recruiting a kid, but I know that they're going to be looking at that as well. I look for these platforms. This is one right here. Hopefully a lot of people, are watching, parents of kids, are watching. It's very simple right now for a young man or woman, boy or girl under 18 is going to be free. They could you can reach out to me directly. They can go to their local golf courses. They can talk to their high school coaches. We're right now, we're trying to work with the NJSIAA and a lot of communicating to coaches directly. We're offering coaches free memberships, to kind of help promote what we're doing to them, so they promote that down to their kids. And if you have opportunities, if you can think of any opportunity where I can get up in front of a group of kids, and I offer that to the coaching community as well. We did do something at a coaches meeting back in the fall, where I had the opportunity to talk more about the benefits of getting that membership through New Jersey State Golf, which includes the GIN app. But your instincts on all of that are spot on, and it's a work in progress. We are in the middle of it. So Mike Wan, you guys know, CEO of USGA, he put out an initiative to the AGA as a Drive to 5, and that's a drive to 5 million golfers, so 5 million GIN handicaps within the next 5 years. So we're we got a lot of wheels turning right now to try to make that happen. It's a big goal. So I'm open to your thoughts. And if you guys can think of opportunities, would love to take advantage of them.
I'm sure Mike's got a lot of thoughts.
Rich, there's not a time I don't.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I'm full of ideas, crazy, normal, and good.
Yeah.
But I think the handicap and the index specifically is something that a lot of us look at, after we post around. We want to know where we're trending. We want to know what's coming out. Did this help? Did this hurt? There are some things I think that even guys like me get confused about. And I feel like I'm an avid golfer on the competitive side that understands it. Can you explain like the soft cap versus the normal cap? Because sometimes you see it and you're kind of like, what the hell does this mean? When does that go away? Right. What does that mean?
Yeah, so soft cap, it's one of a few safeguards that came into play when we went to the World Handicap System in 2020, and it's smart. Basically, what happens is it takes your low index for the last 365 days. So that number is being used throughout the year. That never happened prior to 2020, so that's new. And then it looks at your current index. And if your current index, and we're calculating using 8 of 20 scores now. We used to use 10 of 20. Now it's 8 of 20. That 8 of 20 low differential calculation. Do you know what a differential is, Mike? That number looks like a handicap index next to your score. Perfect. So when that number comes out, that average comes out to your handicap index, and it's more than 3 strokes. Let's say it's 4 strokes higher than your low index. The 1 stroke above 3 is suppressed by 50%, right? So instead of getting 4 shots above your handicap index, you're going to get 3.5 above your low handicap index. So, and sometimes that number, like, and you get that little exclamation next to your handicap, and everybody freaks out. I get plenty of calls on it. And when I go in and look at the actual calculation of where it would be, sometimes it's like 1/10, 2/10 more or less than what your handicap is. It's not that impactful, but it happens every time you post a score. It goes through that soft cap calculation. Now, the hard cap that's when your handicap index goes up to a point where even after that 50% suppression, it's still more than 5 strokes. So it just automatically, the ceiling is 5 strokes. Like, no golfer's handicap index can go up more than 5 strokes within a year. And so it just slows down a golfer who might not be playing well. It slows down an increase, but then all of a sudden, I mean, you've played golf long enough. I mean, anytime you can, slow down a handicap index from getting higher on a golfer who's typically plays at a certain level. I mean, they always have that opportunity. They can always just like revert back and light it up in a tournament. And next thing you know, they're winning and people are scratching their heads a little bit. And this is a safeguard against that kind of thing.
Yeah, it stops the people from sandbagging. I mean, I feel like ultimately it's a combination, because when you get in certain member guest tournaments, we hear the horror stories that people will just start inputting things all of a sudden. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you do. So I actually think it's a phenomenal thing in so many ways, not just for the person that's struggling, but also as a, kind of in the back burner, like, hey, listen, you're not just going to randomly go from being a 3 index to now you're a 9 index and running house at this member guest this weekend.
Correct. So that was it's a smart thing. And you get that exclamation there that comes up, and it's just that's all that is. That's all that is.
So, Rich, I pulled up my gin handicap here. And my low for last year, 2024, was 8.0. So that means if I post a score this year, say I posted a 95, it's not going to allow my handicap to go up past a 13, because that's 5 strokes for 2025. So that's what I'll top out at in 2025. If I play awful golf all year, I'm not going to get worse than a 13.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to take 195 is not going to do it. But if you shoot 20 95s back to back, yes, it's going to you're going to end up at a 13.0.
Okay,
that is correct.
All right. Correct. Again, I think that I didn't. When Mike said that started the question, I didn't know what that meant. Soft cap, hard cap, no idea what that was. So I think those are good as well to have. Like you said, a kind of a fail safe in there to kind of keep people honest, or keep the system honest.
Another question Absolutely. I got another question. What was the reasoning between, like, it was obviously 10 out of 20, right? It was always your best 10 out of 20. It kind of took 50% of what your latest 20 scores were. Why reduce that to 8?
Going back to the 10 of 20, I mean, the whole idea, right, is to use your better scores to calculate your handicap index. So we're trying to predict your best potential.
I think that's something that people don't realize. If I could interrupt here, I think a lot of people don't realize that the handicap, that your index is supposed to be your best golfing potential, not your average that you'll go out and shoot every day. That it's on your best days, this is what you're going to be. And I think that needs to get understood by a whole lot more people, because Mike and I both listen to podcasts where they talk about it. We've talked to people who've talked to us about it. Like, how are you in 11? How are you, a 2? Like, where they comment on our stuff. Like, I don't understand. They say, like, I don't understand how this is possible. And I think that narrative of it's your best possible golf is not out there enough.
Agreed. And that's always something that you need to explain, especially to a beginner golfer that's just getting involved in. So basically it just takes that to another step forward, Mike. So 8 of 20 is just a better evaluation of your potential. Listen, and it's data driven. I mean, it's not like you got some new guy who showed up to USGA and he's coming in. It's like, we're going to change all this. So it's all data driven. All these adjustments are there's a lot of studies that have gone into it, and we're in a better place with 8 to 20.
I like the 8. I think people play golf worse more often than they play at their best. So 10 being half the time, I think they play the better golf less than half the time. So I like the idea of having 8.
Yeah, and listen, anytime it's backed up by numbers or analytics, that's right up my alley compared to someone just coming in and flicking a switch. So I do. That makes sense to me. And I think one of the other things I have is like, the PCC, right? When it comes into playing course conditions and the -1, the +1, well, when does that get applied? How does that get applied? I think that's also another thing that you could educate the audience on, because I think that's why it's super important to be posting the day you play rather than a few days later, because that gets calculated when that posting or that score gets posted. Am I correct with that?
Once again, Mike, 100%.
Listen,
Rich, come on, easy here.
We got a lot of editing to do on this podcast, buddy.
I'll try to provide a little more depth on the PCC. The biggest thing is that's exactly right. So you have to post that score the day of play, because it's all data driven, it's score driven. Whether or not that adjustment happens. There can be obvious conditions, right, that make the course more difficult. And this time of year, April, it's either going to be wind, it's going to be rain, it's going to be, there's going to be that kind of thing. And so when we rate golf courses, we're rating golf courses for mid-season type conditions. So the conditions can drive the adjustment, but it's really about the scores that are posted as a result of whatever happened on the course. So you need at least eight scores posted that day. They got to come from golfers that are 36.0 and under. So your higher handicap golfers, their scores won't factor into that PCC. And if the golf course is playing much harder and those scores reflect that, you're going to see a +1, +2, +3 potential adjustment. If the golf course is playing easier, so we're talking about, either the course is playing softer than it normally does, so it's just more scoreable, whatever the reasons may be, you're going to see a -1 adjustment for easier. And there's no -2, -3. It just always goes to -1. Now, again, it's all data driven. And it's using it's using our target score information, and that's another term that maybe you guys haven't heard a whole lot of, and I think it should be discussed more. Every time you play golf and post a score, like the system is calculating a target score for you, and that target score it's par plus whatever your course handicap is, whatever that number comes out to be. That's a score that we're predicting, given your handicap index, that if you play to your potential, you're going to shoot. So when it's doing those analytics and then putting that into an algorithm, it's looking at the target scores for all the golfers being played and whether you are way higher than that target score or way lower. And that's actually happening. I don't know if we're going to dive into 9-hole scores, but that changed big time over the past year. We're not combining 9-hole scores anymore, and we're using an expected score differential. All that target score information is going into that as well, because that's it's one thing. Every time you post a score, like the system is calculating your target score, and it's using that to determine, to predict, basically.
Wow, that's super interesting. I had no idea about target scores either. So this has already been super educational. Since you brought it up, what was the catalyst to go from combined 9 holes to now whatever
Right.
You play 11 holes, you're getting a handicap.
I love
an
that.
index.
I love that.
Yeah, I
love that.
It's a great change. I think encourages 9-hole play, encourages posting 9-hole scores. I think that's a big part of our game growing, is getting more people just to gravitate to the 9-hole thing, because time is always going to be an issue with golf. So it's recognizing that. So Ryan, the biggest thing is, and you guys have played enough golf, hopefully you've posted enough 9-hole scores throughout the day, and it happened to me, maybe it happened to you. Like, it took me a really long time to break 80, right? And that's not something I really wanted to admit today on your podcast, but
hold on. It's still taking some of us on this podcast a long time to break 80. So,
and for us that do, we cherish it.
Yeah. But I broke 80 like 6-7 years ago, but I didn't really break 80. I had a couple combined 9-hole scores that combined to a 78. And it took me up until like 2 years ago to finally do it. So what was happening is 9-hole scores were getting paired together that really, and that score, creating an 18-hole differential that really didn't like communicate the potential of that golfer. And and again, it's all data driven. And what the data is showing is that when we play 18 as opposed to 9, it's a different kind of thing. Like when we play the full 18 as opposed to just playing 9, I mean, there's usually a correction that happens out there.
The longevity of that, like that's almost the biggest test of golf, is how long you have to be out there for. And 9 holes is like a sprint, whereas you could put it together for 9, but can you do it for 18?
Right. So that's the big thing, is kind of taking that element out of the mix, because it was bringing golfers' handicaps down, which generally we don't get too upset about that, because we get a little more worried about the guys Mike's worried about, where the handicaps are higher than they should be. But we want it to be right. We want to create as much equitability as we can. So this is doing it. And again, that, you brought up the 10 to 17 scores. Well, if you can't finish 18, again, we're getting that expected score differential that fills out the rest of those holes. Data-driven analytics, creating more equity, and also hopefully encouraging more people to go out and play those 9s, post those 9-hole scores, because they're impactful. They're immediately impactful on your 18-hole, on your 20-score history, and ultimately your handicap index.
I think what getting 9 holes to do is hopefully getting more of those golfers that we started talking about, the people that golf. There's been this explosion in golf, but there's people that don't take it as seriously. And they're like, well, why, I don't play 18 enough, or, I'm a terrible golfer. Why would I go get it? When you play 9 holes, if you go knock it around, or like husband and wife couple, they want to do like a 9 and dine, like now you can still post those. And that's I think you are only opening it up to more people, more perspectives, which is putting you, hopefully getting more index, hopefully pushing to you that 5 and 5 or whatever that
drive to 5. Yeah.
Drive to
Absolutely.
5. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's inclusion. I think because I know a lot of times where I'll ride out there with my daughters and whatever, if we can get 10 holes in, I post 10 holes. If we get all 18, I get them 18. If it's 15, whatever it is, I think that's just another way to get more people involved. And if you're looking to grow that number, being able to post more, or have, in a sense, more options to post it, to me, it only creates a better overall product.
Agreed. So another cool thing that happened this past year is that we're now able to rate a lot of these par 3 courses, these shorter courses, like Summit, Milburn. There's a couple courses down south in Cape May area that we're able to rate that we weren't able to rate before because there was yardage limitations. And again, going back to your point, Mike, we're hoping that those people, because generally par 3 courses are early stage of golfer journeys, and hopefully we can get them boys and girls, even men and women, to start posting at that stage, knowing that they can post those scores. I
do have one question here about the ratings. Courses and when they get rated, how often they get rated. What's that process like? Because I hear from a lot of different, followers or listeners that'll DM me and say, how is this rating so high and why is that so low? This course is harder. How is that rated higher? What's that process like?
I never get those questions. That's strange that you would get that. Yeah, that's totally. I get a lot of those questions, and so I'll try to sum it up for you as best I can. So we rate courses. So we have part of our AGA partnership with USGA is providing course rating service to member clubs courses throughout the state of New Jersey. We're mandated to rate courses within a 10-year period. So generally, we don't want to let a course rating sit out there for more than 10 years. Generally, we start reaching out to clubs at that 7-8 year mark. That provides an opportunity to communicate to us if they have any changes, renovations happening. They can kind of hold us off for a year or two, and we're still keeping within that 10-year limit. Courses can also reach out to us. I mean, as you guys know, renovations are off the charts right now. So courses are reaching out to us regularly. Like, hey, we just did a bunker renovation. We just removed a ton of trees. We have 5 brand new holes. I mean, you name it, courses are doing right now, which has really been great for the game and great for clubs. And so we'll come out and rate. We'll come out and do a re-rate whenever that happens. That's encouraged that they reach out to us because we want the courses to reflect, what the playability is at the present. I'll tell you this, Mike. So yardage is the biggest thing, right? So we're talking like 85% of a course rating is how long the course is. One thing we started doing 5 years ago, and we probably could have started doing this earlier, is we measure every course we rate now. And that has created a lot of, we're seeing more consistency, more equitability. We used to take numbers from the course, and it just depended on the golf course. Some of those numbers didn't quite match up. And so that has helped a lot. Everything you can think of when you're playing golf is included in the rating. So trees, I mentioned before, penalty areas, water, fescue, out of bounds, all that is included. We're doing a lot of measuring when we rate. We're measuring fairway widths. We're measuring the distance in the middle of the fairway to those penalty areas. We're looking at bunker, how many bunkers on a hole, where are they placed, the depth of bunkers around greens. We're looking at green speed. We're looking at rough height. Everything you can think of, elevation changes, topography, stance, all that stuff is included in the rating process. It's pretty objective. To be honest with you, there's a guide that we use, and there is some subjectivity here and there, and the subjectivity might move the needle a little bit, but it's really, just an objective process that's driven by measurements and plugging in, using table values and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy to me because I thought it was like a group of people that go out and play golf and then they see what they shot compared to like what they normally shoot. And that is kind of like goes into it. So like, are they out there like with a checklist of like the rough height is like, 1 to 2 inches or 2 to 3 inches, 3 to 4. Okay. It's here. And then, that's what they're doing. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Pretty much. I mean, rough height. So we get rough height from the super. He'll tell us, because again, we want mid-season conditions. Sometimes we're rating in April where we're not going to get that average rough height that we need. Green speed, same thing. We want mid-season green speed. Again, depending on what part of the season, you're not going to get. You might not get that mid-season. We do have stimp meters that we can use, but generally we take that information from the club. And yeah, it really is. We have these forms. We have a form for every hole. So 1 through 9. And we just go through and we're filling in boxes. And that's really what it is. It's not as sexy as people think it is. We're not ranking courses. I mean, certainly you sit out there and you're like, wow, you can take a moment and say, this is a great hole. there's certain holes at the end of the hole where your hand is kind of worn out because you're just constantly marking down. And it's like, wow, there's a lot going on in this hole. But that's the extent of like the opinion side of it. It's basically what's in the sheet and what goes into the computer.
That is wildly different than what I thought. Mike, I don't know if you had the same thing or if you knew that, but that couldn't be more different from what I was envisioning the raters are doing.
How many courses are getting re-rated in a year? Like in a sense, we start April 1st, we can start posting. Will we recognize some ratings on courses in the app being different than what's on a card that hasn't been updated?
You might. You definitely might. We rate, I would say, 25 to 30 courses on average. Just depend. Every year kind of has its own dynamic. Again, it's timing. Number of years since the last rating, and then what's going on. I mean, with the course. How many courses are doing renovations or reaching out, and the timing of when. We try to wait till the renovations are complete. We can come in a little early. And kind of see the changes. Like if the bunkers aren't completely done, at least we know where the bunkers are. We got a sense of what the change is going to be. But generally, we try to allow the course to do what they need to do, and then we come out with a team of volunteers. There's usually one or two staff. We have about 40 trained volunteers that we can call on to go out and rate golf courses. So we have a good, it's a growing, as far as the experienced raters, it's a growing list of experienced raters that we can call on to do this.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're ever looking for an inexperienced rater, I would love to do that. That's super interesting to me. I would love to see that process and
come out on a rating.
I would love to. Certainly, let's be in touch. I would absolutely love that. That's really. It's like, I know it's nerdy, but like that's super interesting to me. I don't really have a reason. Yeah, it's very cool.
It's a lot of fun. I tell new people to it. Listen, it's not what you think. I mean, just a lot of them have the same reaction you just had. It's not what you think. It's objective. It's data driven. But it is like we do have good conversations about what goes into the forms. We can get into green slope, and we can have some fun with some opinions on that regard, and or where to make a mound adjustment. It's again, it's not as sexy as you think it might be. It's not Golf Digest. We're not ranking it. We're not ranking courses. But you do generally, courses they work with us. They want the rating. Part of it is the volunteers, after they rate, they get lunch. They do get to play golf after in most cases, which is nice for the volunteer to have that opportunity to play the course that they just rated. So, yeah.
Very cool. I was going to go. So like that's the rating, and then can fill us in, because I think another thing that gets under or is not as understood as it needs to be is the slope. So you have the rating, which we just talked about. Now talk a little bit about the slope and how that equation works together.
It's a good question. So slope is involved in a process as well. So when we rate a golf course, we're rating for bogey golfers and scratch golfers. The scratch rating is that course rating that we're talking about. The bogey rating is listed if you see a chart, and if you go to USGA.org and you go under the course rating database search, you will see a bogey rating there. That's about a 20 handicap golfer. So the slope rating is basically, if you think of slope, it's just kind of rise over run, bogey over scratch. It's basically the bigger the gap between, the bigger the difference between the scratch golfer and a bogey golfer is the higher the slope you're gonna see. So generally, I mean, if you look at courses that have a lot of trouble, a lot of crossing obstacles, a lot of places for bogey golfers to get in trouble, you'll generally see a higher slope.
So the rating might still be lower because it's for the scratch golfer, but the slope would be higher because the 20 handicap's going to find the trouble more often.
Correct.
Terrific. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I can't tell you how educational this has been. This is
Ryan's got a pen and paper out right now, taking notes right now. But listen, great. Rich, I think as like I don't know, Ryan, if you have more questions. But I do know. I think
peppering, but yeah.
I think it's important to wrap this up with you educating the audience where they can go to get a handicap, knowing that, listen, April 1st is going to be here before you know it. We're going to blink. We're all going to be looking to play golf. Where can the audience go to get a handicap?
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the question. And again, I appreciate you guys having me. I guess it's a really good opportunity, just the educational part of it. Just getting the word out on a lot of this stuff. So April 1 is the first day to post scores. The last day to post is November 14. Let me just communicate to you guys a little bit about why we do that. So generally, and it's changed it's gone up 2 weeks, probably every 5-6 years I've been with the association. And when I started, it was October 15. Then we went to November 1st. Now we're on to November 14. I can see us extending that to maybe November 30th next year. We'll see. There's also some conversations about starting the season earlier and potentially starting March 15. So
I agree with that one.
I think I do too. And again, going back to being more inclusive, more open, and we're trying to push high school kids right now to get involved, to take advantage of this, and their matches are happening right now. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to see those matches going into to be posted. So yeah, it's stuff to keep in mind. Getting a handicap has never been easier. So you just go right to our website, and there's a join button, upper right corner. That's how you join our e-club. So that's the everyday golfer. You got a friend who wants to join. Certainly, we provide the service to our public course members throughout the state. So all the Monmouth County courses, you can just walk in. I think you can go to their website as well. Mercer County courses, Morris County, Essex County, Bergen County. These are great partners. They've been offering the service for decades. So you can just ask somebody behind the counter. You can to purchase an NJ Golf Handicap Index. The kids, it's the best thing to do is, high school kids should be talking to their golf coaches if they don't know already. We'll get them right into the system. I've been working with dozens of coaches throughout the state and setting up their teams. Junior golfers can do the same thing as I indicated earlier. They can go right to their golf courses and set it up. It's free of charge at all of our member courses. They can email me as well, richk@njgolf.org. The junior golf, I just want to make sure they don't pay because it is free. So if they go to our e-club and they want to sign up, they're not going to be able to do it because it's going to flag them with a message that they need to be 19 or over to get the membership. So we don't have a portal online yet for junior golfers just to go in on their own. Juniors is a little, we just want to be a little more involved when a junior steps up. We don't want to just have them randomly come up. So I like them going through a golf course, going through maybe an instructor that kind of gets them here, or through their golf coaches, or just reaching out to us directly. And so we can just kind of set them up, explain some things about the system to them, some opportunities, and then they're off and running.
There you go. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. I mean, this has been a great thing for everybody, I think, to learn about how things get done, why things get done, and how they can sign up and be a part of this ever-growing, golf world and community that we live in. So thank you so much for coming on today's show, Rich.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Rich, this has been awesome. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you guys again. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Again, we got an unbelievable golf community. Some of the best courses in the world within 50-mile radius of wherever you are, and the people in our community are the best. And you guys do a great job shining a light on all of that. So appreciate it.
I appreciate the compliments. We'll talk to you soon, bud.